Okay, so we're going to do just a quick background on the Android Stream project, and then a quick uh, debrief on current current status. So I'm gonna try to keep myself honest and start a timer or
Okay.
stop, reset, start. Okay, so the Android Stream project started with a prompt that I gave Jed, which was to ask him if he'd ever messed around with Midjourney. Jed said he hadn't, and I said, "Well, I'd just be curious if you gave it a shot." And there was nothing more than that. And I think it was because I just wanted someone else, another creative soul to play with it, and so that we could both be like, "Whoa, this is crazy." And so I goaded you into doing it. You did it.
Yeah, wait, let me say this. I would
Okay.
just at the beginning stage, I saw one of your cars and I'm
Okay.
like, how did you do that? And then this got into like, oh, mid journey. And then I think you go just like that's sort of where uh I would say the real spark was is like I saw one of your cars and I'm like, whoa, I'm like, what's up with Julian's car there? And then you're like, oh, I'm prompting him in mid journey. Now I'm only saying this because go ahead. The next stage was sort of like I asked you for some prompt. You're like, try mid journey. It's like you have to try it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, do you have a prompt to just get me started? Just to give me a context of a place. And you gave me some that were based on your cars. And then I sort of looked at that. I tried it just to see how it worked. Like, okay, if I do this, it makes a car. And then, I'm like, okay, well, what if I make a sheep instead of a car? Anyways, that's sort of where that started, I think.
Yeah, and then you shared back some of the sheep that you did. I feel like it was like the next day, and and I saw them, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, that feels like a thing." And we started talking about like how we could turn that into a near future laboratory product from some weird future. And
Yeah.
so my first inclination, I went to the archetype around kind of farm stuff. Like I imagine like, oh, maybe these are like, if we could write about them, not in the form of like science fiction, but in the form of an artifact that we might have found from the world in which these things exist. And so I started thinking
Mhm.
about, trading, kind of like farm animal catalogs, I guess I would say. And I'm
Yeah.
sure these must exist in some form. I just don't know about them enough. And you came
Right.
back um, with this guy. I mean, this was one of the things we were using as a reference, Uncle
Yes.
Henry.
Yeah. Right. Because I think what you said to me with the when you talked about the cars, you referenced like, oh, like auto traders in the future or something. And I'm like, oh. And then I would think about Uncle Henry's because I grew up in an area where they had all that stuff, and me being more of the anthropomorphic kind of like animal side of things. Um, the Then I thought of Uncle Henry's, and I'm like, oh, these things are hilarious. And yeah. So, anyways, I think we riffed a bit there. And then I would say
Yeah.
that at some point, I was sending a few sheep to a few people, including my father-in-law, and he immediately sent me back the cover of "To Android's Dream of Electric Sheep," which I posted to you, and you're like, "That's it." I think it's like we're gonna go this direction, or I don't remember. You tell me. At that point, I just remember that image of the book came in, and that was sort of an aha moment to take this a certain direction.
Yeah, so the image came in of a cover of one of the early editions of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, question mark. And I was like, oh, suppose we did a book that was like Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. And it was kind of, and somehow it would integrate in with, some with the sheep. And I didn't know what that was going to actually, what the shape of that was going to be, but went immediately to the structure side of that rather than trying to figure out what that was. It's just like I redid, with my very modest Photoshop skills, a book cover of that book from the early edition. And then when I saw that, I was like, I want that book. I just wanted the book with that cover, and I didn't care what was in it almost. I just wanted that because I like that tweak of going from the question of the novel to more of like a textbook.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Because you're talking about at times like it could just be blank, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
or
That's right. That's right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I sat down. I think it was like, I want to say that that evening I sat down and um, with ChatGPT and just what could ChatGPT do with this thing? Could it answer questions about the book, about the novel, almost as a kind of reference or like an adjacent interpretation, and the psychology of the androids, which is I think at the core of the novel, as well as a bunch of other topics. But that's the one that I focused on, and yeah, probably within 12 hours, I had a fairly substantial hunk of work that I was like, okay, this is a great start. Like I think this could become this alternative textbook kind of like analysis of the android psychology. And so now it's become, and then when how did tell me how the trading cards came in?
Yeah, I would say simultaneously, what you just described, I was continuing to get comfortable with making, genetically prompting these sheep, let's say. And I a way of plugging into everything going on was to trading cards came up. I think very much at the early conversation, like these could be trading cards, these could be a book. There's reference to the Uncle Henrys and auto traders. So at this point, I think I was probably fully engaged in like actually we had arrived at like let's do 64 sheep. We don't know what they're going to be exactly, but we arrived at a number. And then I started going into making those sheep and basically on my side, I guess, defining structure of like what a trading card, um, you know, what a kind of a mechanic of collecting trading cards would be around these sheep. And
Yeah,
that's that, so and that was done. I think there was a robust system as far as like robust meaning, my process of feeling like something was sort of complete within a couple weeks. It was like because we also put like a quick deadline on let's try and get cards out quick. Um, and it was only like a few weeks from when we started this whole process. So I kind of focused in on that, and then yeah, that turned into like what you've seen. There's a bunch of visuals. We can maybe share that in another post sometime of where that was at. So I think that was probably as defined as sort of the book idea at a very similar time. And then moving forward a little bit, I would say like you had a deadline with some other stuff about logistically wanting to
right.
turn this into a book,
Yeah,
and we're like let's get this book thing going right now because I have a deadline for that,
yeah,
and the cards will come along. That only took a couple weeks, kind of thing.
yeah,
Because that was sort of our logistics on the cards was like our investigation was like, oh yeah, we can get cards done in a couple weeks. The book is a the book is more of a priority to get done because it takes longer.
yeah. The
And
lead time longer.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So that happened, and then let's fast forward. I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe just like an update where we're at now. So we got
yeah,
so the book. The this is a approval copy of the book that I got a few weeks ago. Right, whack. So it's here,
yeah,
and but and now the slow boat is coming with the rest of them. So those are meant to. I think they're supposed to get to Los Angeles in a week or two, and then they go. Then they're going to go to Dolphin, my freight forwarder, Mindy. I was just emailing Mindy this morning, and then they'll get them to our two warehouses, one in South Carolina and the other one in Germany. And so
yeah.
where we at where we at from your side? That's logistics.
Yeah. So we're kind of on logistics on my side too, meaning we want to try and get the cards done in time uh, for when the books arrive, roughly. And we're a few weeks out from that. We've got, I would say, 80 or 90% of the content done with the cards, and really to finish it off, there's just it's just sort of some formal design decisions, I would say, so we
Yeah.
can just get them to print, and then they'll be, getting them manufactured and printing um, should be a few weeks process with the dialoguing with the manufacturer.
Yeah, and no decisions have been made, but I think we're leaning towards the book comes with the book and the cards are bundled together.
Yeah, like a
Um,
deal.
yeah, and we're going to try to even things out so that there are the same number of sets of packs of cards, so that each book can go with one pack of cards of some size. Is where we're going, and then we're also what are we saying? We're just gonna
I
we're
think
only going to ship these things from the U.S.
yeah, the card logistically, it seems like packaging it with the cards and the book together happens from the US much more simply.
Yeah,
And I mean, we like again, we haven't formalized this, but I would say this is that it would be interesting to see if some card packs maybe do all right on their own too, just to see, to understand if that's something that works.
yeah.
Um, uh,
Totally game for exploring that. When the one thing I think we decided we want to avoid is like having them shipped from two different places.
yeah, I think because we're moving fast, and I think the rule of thumb in a way is like let's try and keep it as simple as possible wherever we can,
Yeah,
and
totally.
that
Because it's
that
just us. It's just us.
yeah, it's just us, and we're eager to get things into the world, and so we want to do that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
That's good. I think that's good enough. So next time we'll just be able to do the project update, I guess, or something.
sure. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
All right. Yeah, I'm like 5 minutes off, so I probably should go.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll talk to
Okay,
you.
cool.
Hit me up later. Maybe we can make decisions about the foil thing.
Yeah, yeah, I'm thinking I'll be back around about 1:30, so I'll hit you up and see where you're at.
Okay. Cool.
All right, later.
Thanks, Jed. Bye.
Yeah.